Hello, I'm Alan from Exa Foundation. Now I want you to meet Michael Horne. Michael is based in Bedfordshire, where he's employed as a web developer. Now, the very first time I met Michael, it was about 10 years ago, and it was at the very first Cambridge Raspberry Jam. Michael now organises these with friends and also Pi Wars. That's the world famous Raspberry Pi robot competition. You must have heard of that. Anyway, here's the thing. Michael, he's changed his opinion about computers, which he'll explain when we go and discuss his career in tech. But before we do, I have 5 questions that I want you to consider. I want you to try and answer them. You'll probably be guessing them to begin with, but here we go. So let's go and look at those 5 questions. Okay, so question number 1. What secret project has Michael been working on for the last 2 years? Question number 2. What do developers call the system that they use to create and edit content for a site? Question number 3. What do Michael's parents keep reminding him about? Question 4. Now I asked Michael to choose one of the following 3, which was he most likely to be a fan of. So I asked him about Steve Jobs, Bill Gates and Linus Torvalds. He chose one. Which one do you think he'd choose? And the final question, I said to him, Michael, if we were going to take away either your keyboard or your mouse, which one would you find the hardest to be parted from? So there are the 5 questions. Let's go now, meet Michael and find out and see if you're any good at guessing the answers.
Hello.
Hello, Mike. And Mike, we're going to ask you if you could just introduce yourself, like your full name, tell us a little bit about your role, but particularly some project that you've worked on recently. Doesn't have to be a work project.
Okay. I'm Michael Horne. I'm a web developer and educational charity based in Bedfordshire. I've been a developer for 24 years. Yikes. I'm also a co-organizer of Cambridge Raspberry Jam and Pi Wars after discovering the Raspberry Pi back in 2012 and learning electronics from it and that kind of thing. As a web developer, I'm probably stupidly proud of an awful lot of the work I've done. I've developed my own framework for web applications. I've rewritten search engines, online shops, that kind of thing. But the one I'm working on at the moment is actually my favorite. It's one I'm really proud of. For 2 years, we've been developing and implementing a new responsive website that will work on phones, tablets, PCs, whatever. And it's, as I say, it's been going for 2 years. And at the end of July, it's going live. It's got a completely new CMS. It's got a completely new workflow on that. It's got a completely new design, layout, CSS and JavaScript have all changed. All the content's been redone, new features, all kinds of stuff. And I'm really proud of it because it's been me and my boss. My boss has been doing the content, I've been doing the coding, and it's been a really good collaboration. And that's one of the things I'm really proud of at the company where I'm working now, is the collaborative stuff.
Mike, did you say this new site, you've been working on it for 2 years?
On and off, yes.
So there's a project you've been working on for 2 years that the general public haven't seen yet.
That's right, yeah.
That must be immensely frustrating.
Oh, yeah.
And is it going to be another 2 years, or it's like any day now people will get to see?
No, end of July, beginning of August. We've got to go live date, so that's the big thing at the moment.
Gosh, because I think sometimes I'll work on a project that I might spend a few days, and then I'll want to show everybody, say, hey, everybody, look at this. But I suppose it's different when you're working for an organization as you are. You can't just say, hey, everybody, here's our new site. Oh, you don't like it? Oh, I'll take it away and go back and work on it.
Yeah, I think it's because normally when we have new features, and when I say new features, they tend to be big new features, we'll do them in a couple of months or a couple of weeks or whatever. And it will be a case of put it live. If it goes slightly wrong, that's fine. We'll fix it as it goes and keep it very agile. But because it's been a completely new CMS and the whole site's had to be rebuilt from the ground up. It's just taken so long.
So the CMS, that's the way that it brings together all of the text, the images, any videos, links,
That's right.
forms, all of
Sorry,
those
I'm
things.
being techie.
Well,
content management system.
Well, I would imagine a lot of people watching this may know what CMS is, but I just wanted to make sure that I understood.
Yeah.
So the other thing I was thinking is that when they say, right, Mike, we're going live with this on the end of July, will that be a night that when you go to bed the night before, you'll be lying there thinking, my gosh, I really hope it works? Or no, it'll all be smooth, it'll be fine.
I do a lot of theatre work, so I tend to keep my stage nerves for stage. No, I'll probably get quite a good night's sleep with the excitement of thinking, right, let's do this thing.
It balances with the frustration of, my gosh, how much longer do we have to wait, before the world gets to see this?
This year, it's been a case of, my goodness, it's been that long. Can we not have that again, please?
So, in general sense of the word, if you were talking to other people about what your role is, you could say to people, I'm a web developer. Yeah.
Yep.
And sometimes people divide web developers into two categories. People talk about the front end, the aesthetic, the visual bits that people get to see. And then some people talk about the back end, the mechanical elements. But there's also, we know, loads of other steps in between. So are you more towards the front or towards the back, would you say?
To be honest, I love doing both of them.
Okay.
And I get to do both of them. That's one of the reasons that I love my job, is that I get to do the front end and the back end and all the bits in between and all the database stuff and all the search engine stuff and the digital rights management and all the taking content, bringing it together into something that you can actually use. That's kind of what I love about it.
So if we roll back to when you were 14, did that exist as a career, web development? No.
The internet, what's that?
So how did you know at 14 or 15 that you wanted to be a web developer?
I didn't. I thought I'd probably...
You didn't know what you wanted to do?
No. No.
That sounds a little bit chaotic.
My parents are very fond of reminding me that I said I never wanted a career in computers.
Oh dear. Did you not follow their advice then?
No, this was me saying it. I thought, no, I find computers too frustrating. I still find them frustrating, but not too frustrating.
But yet you still work with them.
Yep.
Yes. And for some people who don't know, you also organize a giant club in the city of Cambridge for people who also like computers and come together, the Cambridge Raspberry Jam and the Pi Wars and all of these things. So for somebody who never wants to work with computers, you've not been that successful, have you?
Not really, no. That's it. Mind you, if you're going to fail at anything, and having a decent career out of a failure to make a decision is pretty good.
But you must derive some sense of enjoyment or pleasure from your work. Because I guess you wouldn't still be doing this if you didn't enjoy it to the extent.
That's right. I mean, it's fair to say I didn't particularly enjoy my very first job, but it was in computing, because I wasn't very good at it. But when I moved into my second role, which was sort of the next building, I sort of found, oh, I can do this with data. It's great. All this information that's out there, and trying to bring that into something that somebody can use. It gave me a lot of pleasure, and it still does.
So I'm still trying. I'm a little flabbergasted. I'm trying to figure out, how has Michael gone from being much younger Michael, I hate computers, never want to work with them, to not only do I work with them every day, but I think about them in the evenings and it's what my hobby is. How and when did it change? Where was the point we thought, oh, computers, I like these?
Well, I got to secondary school, and I, as you say, 14, I was very much not wanting to do it. And about 15, I think it was, we started to get BBC Micros. And we had a little network set up at school, and it was a case of one computer could make another computer do something, and that fascinated me. I thought, how's it doing this? How's this magic happening? And little by little, it sort of broke down my reluctance to, and thought, well, you can find out how that happens, and you can be part of that magic that some people don't understand, some people do. And little by little, the technology sort of, it start with, it overwhelmed me, and then eventually it was a case of, oh yeah, they only do what you tell them to do.
So it sounds like, in a way, it's like I myself, and I have met other people who just love the whole concept and idea of computers, but for you the attraction was more about the potential of what you could do with them. We were talking to Connor earlier, and Connor was talking about his passion and interest in photography. So I guess Connor's interest in technology was probably more strongly connected with, oh, I can import images and I can edit the images, rather than the actual camera, although he did have a few cameras in the background, I noticed as well. So some of the questions that I was suggesting we might discuss, like lessons that you've learned along the way. I mean, I feel like we're spelling it out there that at 14 you were, nope, I'm never going to work with computers. And now a few years later, actually you are. Is there a lesson in there somewhere, do you think, or a piece of advice that you might offer?
I think the lesson to be learned is, don't force anything on yourself, and don't force yourself away from anything else, away from anything. You know, at the end of the day, if you're drawn to the tech, then there must be a reason for it. So explore it.
I don't know if you're old enough to remember, there was a film starring the character James Bond, and the title of this film, I think it was like in the late 80s or something, Never Say Never Again. And you know, those words that come back to me, never say never. Like, I'm never going to work with computers, and I'm never going to take photographs, and I'm never going to. Hang on, Alan, didn't you say that you would never do that? Right, we're going to move on to our final kind of slightly funny question a little bit. So I want you to imagine that on the wall behind you, you're going to have a poster of a person. Now, just for the purpose of this conversation, I'm going to tell you it has to be one of the following three people. It either has to be Steve Jobs, or Bill Gates, or Linus Torvalds. And you would have to choose. And then that poster would be on the wall behind you. And every day you come into this room, you would have to see the poster, and you would have to say Steve or Bill or Linus. You would have to say good morning to them. Thank you very much for bringing the gift of computing to me. So which of those three do you think you'd be most likely to choose?
Probably Bill Gates, because I've always been a Windows man.
Bill Gates? I mean, what has Bill Gates ever done for us?
I think Bill Gates is he's an intriguing guy, because you think, yeah, money's really changed him, and actually money has changed him, but now he's sort of come back round to being more of a benefactor, of doing good with what he's managed to come up with.
I think if you look at various lists that are published from time to time, who are the richest people in the world, you'll probably see that a lot of them have that they haven't inherited their wealth. It's come from success in technology.
Yeah.
And certainly Bill Gates' name is pretty much always somewhere towards the top. But if I'm right, he stood down from sort of leading and directing Microsoft a few years ago, and he set up a foundation along with his wife, previous wife, current wife, whatever title we want to use. So it's about trying to put some of that back. Okay, interesting choice. Do you know what I'm going to do? You surprised me a little bit with that one. I'm going to throw another question at you now. So if you were told, oh, by the way, Michael, you know, the website, we've got another 2 weeks or so. We're not quite ready yet to release it. But by the way, you can only use from now on either a keyboard or a mouse, and you have to choose between the two. If you could
Yeah.
only work from now on with either a keyboard or a mouse, which would it be?
I would be very practical and go for the keyboard because I can always learn keyboard shortcuts.
But it would be frustratingly slow, especially in terms of, I mean, I suppose if I'd had Connor that question earlier, we're talking about photography, he probably would have come up with a very, very different answer altogether.
I mean, for some of the creative stuff that I do, not having a mouse would be an absolute disaster.
Because you did say you work on the front end things as well. Yeah. Right. Well, thank you very much. So there we go. Now, we have a selection of these careers in tech discussions. You can find them on our YouTube channel, along with virtual tours to locations around the world and beyond. We do plan to record more of these, so please share your feedback. You could put a comment below, or you could send it via the links in the notes. Please tell us what worked well for you, but also how these videos might be even better if. So thank you. Bye.